All right, let's go ahead and get started. Thank you everyone for joining our Steelhead Masterclass webinar. This is our May event. Amanda, I'm going to put you on mute. Oh, there we go. Eric's joining. So this is our May webinar session. Masterclass, we will be covering timesheets and PTO tracking. My name is Stephen Helmanen. I am a deployment leader here at Steelhead Technologies. Our objective today is to go over timesheets and PTO tracking. We will also be doing a software demonstration, and then at the end, there will be a Q&A session. So we'll make sure we have time at the end of our masterclass for any Q&A. If you do have a question as we go along, if there's something that you would like me to dig deeper on or provide more detail on, please come off mute and ask that question. Otherwise, please refrain until the end of the masterclass prior to doing a Q&A session. So overall, here we go. For timesheets and PTO tracking, the features that we'll be talking about today are the time clock, doing a data export for payroll, cost tracking, managing time off plans, and then managing the workflow for time off as well. All of this being in one system, and that system being Steelhead Technologies. A couple of stories that I have from customers. One of my customers that I've worked with configuring their HR timesheets, they were able to end their contract with ADP as a result of getting on timesheets for Steelhead. I had another customer that we worked with that they were able to get rid of their paper PTO or vacation request forms and do that all within Steelhead. So that was a great benefit for both of those customers. We've had other customers that have had the privilege or had the benefit of not having to answer the question from their hourly employees that how much vacation do I have? Those are all questions. That's all data that's presented and available to the operators within the system, and we'll show that today. So from here, let me jump over to Steelhead software. Excuse me, I'm going to switch screens here. We're going to go into Steelhead. So we all should be looking at the main screen, the home screen here for Steelhead. Our software demonstration is really going to be two-part. The first part is what we're going to focus on more of the admin HR responsibilities. And then afterwards, the second part, we're going to focus on what the operator will be seeing and interacting with on a regular basis. So from here, the first thing that we would do as far as just setting up and configuration of timesheets is navigating to our domain settings. So I'll click there within the domain settings, and then I'll navigate down to timers and timesheets. These are all of our configuration settings that would be applicable to timesheets. First thing we need to do is make sure that our timesheets is enabled. This feature will appear on the home screen if we have this icon enabled. From there, for costing reasons, we may want to include a product. This is a counting product category for payroll. So we can track cost per goods sold, in this case, per employer, per the time that's collected per employee. Moving over, we have our pay period. In this instance, we are doing a 1 week pay period. We also have the option for 2 weeks. And then we want to select a date and time that coincides with the beginning of our pay period. So in this instance, when this was originally set up, 9/4 is a Monday. So our pay period is from Monday to Sunday. And this is the beginning of that pay period that's being used for configuration. Below, we can set up overtime, what constitutes as overtime. We can also set up some basic rules for that would require admin review. So if there's a time segment that is less than 3 hours, so if I'm clocked in for less than 3 hours for any instance, this would trigger a review be performed by an admin. Likewise, on the other end, we have a rule that we can create if any time segment is greater than 8 hours, that would also require an admin review or supervisor if we so choose. From there, this last rule is if anything is, if we have 2 time segments within a 4-hour period, that is going to be assumed that they are of the same shift. So those are some of the configuration settings that we would create and set up when we are first setting up timesheets and the use of timesheets within Steelhead. And then after that, once those settings are created, we would review our users. So I'll go to users, and we have for this domain, this customer, we have all of our users that are added. What I'm going to be looking for is to ensure that for the employees that will be using our timesheets, that we mark them as an hourly employee. Okay. So one thing that I can do, I'll demonstrate here, is I'll create a new user just to show you how easy this is. So I'm going to go, just going to create a very simple user. This email here is just for recovery, password recovery. Okay. And then for time clock, what we're going to want to do is make sure that all of our employees are using a PIN. So I'm just creating a PIN for this user, creating their role within the company, setting permissions. So what access do they have within Steelhead? This product here, this is again for the accounting. So we have here everything that we have designated as an accounting product for cost of goods sold. We can do paint departments. We can track cost per paint department, per powder department. Those are some of the examples that we have here. So let's just say that as default, John Doe is going to be working in our paint department. He is working as an hourly employee. I can create a supervisor here. So he reports to Lars in this instance, and then he is starting today. So with all of this information, I'm going to go ahead and create that user, John Doe, and then we will be able to clock in as John Doe and allocate time off if we need to for John Doe as well. Okay. Any questions so far? I mean, we talked through some of the configurations on the domain settings to get time clock configured. We've created a user, and where I'm going to navigate next is to timesheets and actually allocating that time off and making sure that HR plans are applied to that employee. Do we have any questions so far? Any immediate questions? Okay. All right. So I'm going to jump into timesheets. First thing that we see here, this is all of the collected time that we have per our hourly employees. We have 3 instances here at the top of the list where we can see that the icons are different. These are actually active timers. So these people are currently clocked into Steelhead for payroll purposes. I can also navigate to view active timesheet segments, and this is going to be a filtered list of those users that are currently and actively clocked in. So if we need to perform an audit per shift on who is clocked in and who's not, this is where we might go to see who is actually here today, who's clocked in. Are there any employees that are supposed to be here that are not here? This would be our first area to kind of perform that audit to verify who is clocked in and who is not. If I go to schedule time off, we're going to be focusing on PTO and other types of time off that we might have. So here we have, I'm going to navigate to, I'm just going to let somebody in. All right, so I'm going to go to setup time off allocations, and then I'm actually going to go to time off plans. So this plan here, we can create this in advance. So this is going to replicate any type of HR policy related to time off. We would go ahead and create this, and then we would be applying it to any new employee that is hired. So we create the plan, and then we apply the user, is essentially what we're going to be doing. So in an environment where we have lots of employee turnover. We have people coming in, people leaving. This creating the HR plan separately from attributing to the employees. This will make it extremely efficient to be able to do so. So we just created John Doe. He was hired today. This is our plan that we've created for that matches our HR policies. And if I go here, I can see we can start creating different rules for time off, what type of time off it's going to be. So I could do FMLA, how long this is applicable for, what is my accrual, how am I accruing that time off. Those are all rules that can be created that constitute a time off plan. But once this is created, so this is going to be more of a setup initially and modify as needed. But once this is created, I'm going to go to time off allocation. I'm going to search for John Doe. So we have John Doe. If I click on this icon here, I'm actually going to apply this plan to this user, to this employee. I only need to do this once, and as long as he is an employee of the company, this time off accrual and rules will apply for him. So let me dig into this a little deeper. So the first instance here, we have sick leave. What this plan is telling us is for every year, John Doe is going to be getting 16 hours of sick leave. And that is going to begin on the user start date. If I move down, unpaid leave, this is really going to be a tracking mechanism for leaving early, no calls, no show, leaving late, those types of activities is where we can use this unpaid time as a tracking mechanism. Vacation, we have our vacation policy. So upon the user start date, we are accruing, so on the anniversary year, we are accruing 1 hour of allocated time off per week. And then once we've have 3 years under our belt, we are starting to accrue 2 hours of paid time off per week with a maximum of 40 and 80 hours. So you can start to see there what's going on. We can carry over time from one series, one time segment to the next. So these are the amount of hours that I'm going to be carrying over from each of those different types of buckets, if you will, for vacation. Holiday, I'm creating holiday time off as well. So these are all of the paid hours for holidays that we have. But this is in essence, this is our HR time off policy that we are creating per employee. So once I have this, what I'm doing now, back to what we were originally doing, is we have this plan and we're making it applicable for John Doe. So once I'm happy with this, I'll go ahead and create the allocation plan. And we'll see here that we have, with the time off type of sick leave, we have 16 hours available, or John has 16 hours available for sick leave. If I go to vacation, we can see that over the course of from 2024 to 2027, John is able to accrue 156 hours. And that's a total amount of hours that he can accrue, but he's going to be limited to 40 hours as a maximum. So you can start seeing that there. And if I expand this, this is when John would be accruing that PTO, that vacation time. So this is really the schedule for accruing that time off. But it's as easy as that. So we create our time off plan. We have a user. We apply that time off plan per the user. And as long as John Doe is an employee, this plan and the progression of John through that plan is already set up and created and easy to manage. Okay. Any questions on that? Okay. Excellent. All right, so this is what, again, I'm operating as the admin. I'm in the timesheets. I'm creating time off. I'm adding users. I'm applying that time off. The more the day-to-day things that we might be doing as the admin within timesheets. We might be reviewing requested time off. This is all requested through Steelhead, the software. So if I go to review requested time off, I can see that operators Jordan Peterson and Kelsey have requested time off. They're both requesting 8 hours, so they're requesting a shift off. And then we can see what day they're requesting that on. So they're both requesting vacation. Jordan is requesting on 5/31. Kelsey's requesting on 5/30. So Thursday and Friday of this week, they are both requesting 8 hours. And there's 80 hours remaining if approved. So they both have available vacation time that they have remaining if this request is available. So they're not exceeding their allotted time off. So me as the admin, I have the option to approve or reject these. I can edit it if I need to. If I click edit, I can include in here a comment. So approved 5/29. I'm going to go ahead and click save. So now I've added a comment. I'm going to go ahead and approve that. You can see here I can edit that comment again if I need to. All right, I do that same thing here. All right. So I've approved both of those requests. And if I go back up a level, I can click on view calendar and I can see a calendar view here of all of our requested time offs that we have per employee. So if it's dark green like all of these are, that means that vacation is approved. If it's a lighter green, a lime green color, it means it's requested. So the same actions that I did in the other screen in list form to approve that time off, I could also do from this calendar view as well. So if I click on any of these, I can see here the details related to that time off. So on Wednesday last week, we had Jordan off on vacation. It looks like I left early, potentially. There's some unpaid leave that I have here. Kelsey was sick on Thursday. And then for this week, Kelsey was on vacation for Tuesday and so on and so forth. So this gives you a high level view of what support you may have in production. So if you have multiple operators that are requesting time off on the same day, or you might be light on production, this graphical view, this view here is a great snapshot into observing those instances and reacting to them accordingly. So all of this data is then visible. If I go to our payroll report now, all of that gets rolled up into our payroll report. So we were looking at 5/27. Yes, okay, so this is the pay period. This is the current pay period that we're in. We had previously just now approved time off, vacation time off for Kelsey on Thursday, 5/30, and vacation for Jordan on 5/31. So this is all getting rolled up into our payroll report. We can also see that on Tuesday, we have Eric worked 8.47 hours. He's also got a little icon here, a caution icon. There's something that we need to review as the admin related to his time. Kelsey was on vacation on Tuesday as well. And it looks like I worked 8 hours on Tuesday. So all of that information, all of that payroll information gets accumulated in this payroll report, including vacation, including other types of time off. We can look historically if we need to as well. So we'll go back to the previous pay period and we can start seeing that same vacation, unpaid leave, sick leave, etc. There's some other actions, some other icons, some visual information that we can see here, and I'll get into that in a second. But as far as time off and then the collection of that for the payroll report, I'll stop here if there are any questions.
Yeah, hi there, Steve. I was wondering, does the calendar view show uh allocations that are that are over after they've passed for record keeping purposes? Like to look back and see what requests were granted in the past.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. So there's all the historical information as far as requested time off will be collected and will be visible in that calendar as well.
Okay, perfect. How about denied requests? Will they be left there for records or just deleted?
They, we can navigate back there, but we can change our filtering if we need to. So I will go to view calendar. We can filter by requested, approve, or rejected. So if there was any rejected time off requests, we could also filter that and see that within the calendar view here. Time off type, if we wanted to do some more filtering on the type of time off, whether it be sick leave, vacation, holiday, etc., those are other filtering mechanisms that we have for the calendar view as well. And the last thing I'll note here just on filters is you'll see it in a number of different areas within the timesheets. We're able to filter upon supervisor. So if you're a shift lead and you're curious as far as your operators, that your direct reports, you might be able to select yourself as a supervisor, and then you'd be able to see your direct reports, the time off requests that they have, et cetera. So this is another filtering mechanism that we have for the data that's in the calendar. So supervisor, time off type, and approval status, inclusive of requested and rejected. Great question. Okay. All right, let's go back to the payroll report. And I'm going to go to the previous pay period. And then we're going to start digging into this payroll report a little deeper. So the first thing I note here is we have a banner that's displaying that there is overtime that has been accumulated. Per our rules, so we had indicated that anything over 40 hours is going to be classified as overtime in our domain settings. So we can see for Eric has worked 44 hours. He worked a shift on Saturday. Maybe he was doing maintenance on Saturday, but he has 4.08 hours on Saturday in excess of 40. This is being classified or being flagged as potentially being overtime. We also see that same yellow fill here for Kelvin. It's showing that Kelvin has exceeded 40 hours as well. So this might be overtime. If you draw your attention over to the exclamation point over here, there's something incorrect or that needs review of Kelvin's collected time. So what we might do is expand the payroll report for Kelvin, and we can start looking at the raw data for his collected time. So for Monday, we can see that he worked from 7 a.m. to 3:29. He had a 30-minute lunch period as well between his two time segments. So we have our time segments that are denoted by an ID. So a time segment is really going to be the activity of clocking in and clocking out. So anytime it's unpaid leave, such as lunch in this case, we'd be clocking out for lunch and then clocking in after lunch. So that would, that time duration between those clock ins and clock out activity, that's going to be captured as unpaid time off. If I go down here, I can see on Friday we have this is the time segment that needs to be reviewed. If I'm just reviewing this, I can see that what Kelvin had done is he clocked in the morning at the beginning of the shift, and then he clocked out at the end of the shift. It does not appear that Kelvin clocked out for lunch. So what I might do here is I can review some of the information here related to that time segment. Okay, what I can also do is go ahead and create a break. So what I'm going to add is that I'm going to add a lunch to this. So I'm modifying this data to reflect what we do for lunchtime. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And you will see here that we took that one time segment and we broke it into two because of the missed clock in and clock out event for the lunch. Okay, and you'll notice that that exclamation point after we've done that review, after we've corrected the data, has been removed. And if I collapse this, we can see here now that Kelvin, this is no longer being flagged for overtime. So at this point, what I can do is I can auto apply this overtime. If I click on this button, this will automatically apply the overtime. So I'm going to do that. And now what I see here is that for Eric has 40 hours of regular paid time, and he's got 4.08 hours of overtime. If I expand, I'm going to expand myself in this case. I want to talk a little bit about the accounting behind, or the accounting functions behind payroll. We can see here that my time segments, because when I was created as a user within Steelhead, there was a default setting that was created. I was a product, an accounting product was assigned to me. So I work in the paint department. So any time, any cost that I accrue the company for accounting purposes is going to be attributed to the paint department. You can see that here. So all of my time segments, all of the costing that I would contribute to the company is going to be classified as a paint department. So what this does is allows you to track employee costs per department. We could do this for any and all departments that we have. We can cut this really any way that we need to for accounting purposes. If I need to modify any of that, so those are the default settings. If I click on the assign product breakdowns, this little briefcase, I can see here for all of my time segments, these are each of my time segments, I can actually go ahead and change the product code for accounting purposes if I need to. So looks like I've worked in the paint department all last week. I do have some unpaid time leave there as well. But if I needed to change any of these, I can for accounting purposes and costing purposes. I'll go ahead and click save. And that will register all of that data. So at this point, once I'm satisfied with the payroll report, what I can do is I can download the data. I can click on this button that will download the data, and I will be generating a CSV file, an Excel file that can be imported into our payroll system. And this is configurable. So depending on which payroll provider you're using, that may be different. That CSV export file may need to be configured to match whatever the import requirements are for your payroll software provider. But that is manageable. You'll work with your team member, you'll work with your deployment specialist or deployment engineer, and to configure that file. Any questions on payroll? We are running a little bit long, so any questions? There's 2 questions in the chat. Can you have people flex between departments for counting their time? Yes, you can. I demonstrated that. What we do there is click on the briefcase, and then we have a drop-down menu of the available products that we have that we can assign per the collected time per user. Can you use the PTO portion of the system without utilizing the full timesheet tracking for punching in and punching out? Absolutely. Yes, you can. They're really independent. You do not need to be using the clocking in and clocking out functions. We have certain customers that the operator will request of their HR time off, and HR manages all of the collection of time off and tracking of that. But let me show you the benefit of using the full system. So I'm logged in. I'm going to navigate. So I'm putting on my operator hat now. I'm kind of switching gears. I can see here under my account, I'm currently clocked in, but I also am able to request time off directly through the software. So at any instance with Steelhead, each user will log in and have login information. They'll have their own account access when they do that, and they will be able to request time off through the software. So if I go here, I can request time off, when it's going to be, what type of time off I'm requesting, any sort of comments that I need to leave. And I'm also being displayed how much time off that I have remaining here as well. Okay, once it's approved, it gets displayed here. So I have 1/11/2024, I took 1 hour of vacation. This has been approved. 5/22, I left early. So that's also being displayed here as well, in this approved time off section, this table here. Okay. All right, I wanted to share one more thing, and then we'll kind of conclude and switch over to Q&A. But through our domain settings, we can take a dedicated device and we can put it into time clock mode. And what that time clock mode looks like, I'm going to do a new share here. Okay, so we can do this with a dedicated device. We can switch it into time clock mode. And now we can put this in an area within the shop, or multiple clock in devices within the shop. And then what we can do here, the operators can go in and pin in, hit submit, and then they can clock in for the day here as well. So this would be, again, a dedicated device. I'm already clocked in here as it shows. The only option I have at this point is to clock out. I'm going to do that here. As soon as I hit clock out, it's going to automatically log me out for the next user, the next employee in line to clock in. So I'm going to go ahead and clock back in. You can see now I'm currently clocked out. The only option that I have is to clock in. Otherwise, I can log out without clocking in or out. But this is, let me just clock in. As soon as I clock in, again, I'm automatically logged out. Next person in line would then clock in. Okay. Clock in, or let me pin in one more time. If I miss a clock in or clock out event, I can always click this button. So let's say I showed up to work, start a shift with 7. For whatever reason, I forgot to clock in the morning. I can always click this button, and that will signal for an admin, a supervisor, whoever it may be, that they need to review my time segment. But if I click on this, let's say I forgot to clock out, I can include in here what time I clocked out at, any rationale that I need to include, and then this would be available for the admin to review that is performing payroll. So all in all, everything is very connected. It's one system with connected data. All of the different suite of tools here are functioning together. All of the data is being reviewed, displayed, and is available. But it's a great system. We've had many successful customers that have used it, and I'll put a pin in there. Is there any questions that we have? We'll switch over to the Q&A. So let me actually, I'm going to stop sharing. We're concluding the software demonstration, and then I'm going to share the Q&A slide here. And let me put this into presentation mode. And I do see one more question that came through chat. The question being, is there a potential for biometric login in the future? Yes, there is. That is on our product roadmap. We are looking to add biometric login. Currently, I don't have exact timing on when that will be, but yes, that is something that we are looking to add to the time clock tool. The mechanism is biometric login. Okay. If you have any questions, please come off mute, ask them.
I have a question or some more questions, Stephen.
Yes, please go ahead.
I don't mean to monopolize the time here, so I was speaking or chatting with Lydia earlier. One of the things that we have in our facility is, or we're looking for, is an ability to track things like maintenance time or training time, in addition to the productive time that we would be tracking already in our work orders.
Got it.
She suggested that maybe timesheets would be an opportunity for that. But I don't know how that would function. So maybe you could give me some heads up on that.
Yes, yes. We have the ability of creating, so our plans that we talked about consist of time off types. Those are all definable as far as what the time off types are. So if we wanted to track maintenance activity, we could. What we might do there is create a time off type called maintenance work. And then what we could do in that instance is have our users clock in and clock out per those maintenance events. I hesitate to suggest it. It's not really what it's designed and meant to do. It is possible. It's that we could do that. But yeah, if we want to track maintenance time, that is a way that we could do it. And then we would export that for accounting and be able to track the costs of those maintenance events and how long they're taking.
Yeah.
So it is possible.
At this point, yeah, at this point, I'm not super worried about the cost of those things, but for allocation of people's time. So the way that I have seen it done in past experience is we would create a work order for training and a work order for maintenance on them. Like, so you have a monthly work order that people then allocate their time to when they're doing those types of activities. And then it accumulates in the same spot that we would see our labor efficiency. You know what I mean? And you just parse it out as maintenance or training, right? So
absolutely.
That was the way that I kind of conceived to do it, but I don't know if you're the right guy to talk about it, but there may be limitations that side too. So I don't know what the right choice is, right?
Yeah, yeah. You mentioned you talked to Lydia regarding this. Okay.
She said talk to you, so I'm talking.
So you're talking to me.
I'm
Perfect.
talking to you.
Yeah. And we're continuing to expand the capabilities of the software. There are things that we can do today as far as tracking who's doing what and do we have the right resources allocated for the activities that we're doing. But we're continuing every day to expand our capabilities and add new functionality. I'm going to talk to Lydia as far as the conversation that you had with her. One of the things that we do on our side is we track all of our customer requests for features and functionality. I want to make sure that we have, I like what you're suggesting a lot. And there are, like I said, there are ways to solve it today, but I think there will be some potential enhancements that we can do in that area specifically.
Yeah, just like when I look at the pure labor efficiency numbers in the system right now, I'm kind of undervaluing some of the time that people are spending.
Yes.
It isn't allocated to work orders, so I don't want to shortchange people, right? So that's why I want to get that going, in some form or fashion. But I do think the PTO part of what you talked about today would be really helpful for us too. So
yeah, are you using station timers for costing purposes?
Yeah.
You are, okay. One of the things that I'm doing presently is I have a customer I'm working with that is using timesheets for the normal payroll processes, but using station timers, we're actually going to be able to create an efficiency report comparing our station timers, the actual direct labor that we're applying to in work order, and compare that against how long was I clocked in for today. And be able to compare those two values for an operator and station efficiency reporting purposes. So
So in our system, again, I don't mean to monopolize the time because there's other people on here. So we can talk about this offline for this if you'd like, Stephen. But
let's do that.
We track our payroll time in a different system already. And so we've already got a bunch of stuff that's set up and we've got biometric punching and stuff like that. So I don't want to necessarily rock that boat. So I'm combining the labor from the jobs and that system in my own report right now.
Got it.
So,
Got it.
but I don't have a good way of tracking PTO, so that's why that got brought up. So I'll leave it at that, and we can chat further after this. Thank you.
Excellent. Yep. I like where you're going with that, though. I think there's a lot of potential there. So I would be interested in talking to you afterwards. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. All right, just a quick time check. It's 1:42 Eastern time. We have time for maybe one or two more questions. If there are none, we can conclude early, but any last questions? If you have a question, please come off mute and ask. Otherwise, put it in the chat. Going once, going twice. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. Stay tuned to future masterclasses that we do in the future. And again, appreciate your time today. And if you have any questions that you want to send me or Kelsey's email is displayed there. Please send those to Kelsey, and she can make sure that the right representative from Steelhead gets that question, and we get an answer to you as quickly as possible. So thank you, everyone. Bye.